Critical thinking is a key skill that is becoming more and more important. But what exactly is critical thinking? And what does it mean to think critically?
According to Cambridge Dictionary, critical thinking is the process of thinking carefully about a subject or idea, without allowing feelings or opinions to affect you.
But how does it apply to our everyday life? Well, for example, I am used to situations in which I am not taken seriously in discussions, because the opponent has already made up their mind and doesn't believe in the facts I present, even if to me they are clear evidence that the opponent is wrong.
This phenomenon is called confirmation bias.
It's a tendency to seek and prefer information that supports our pre-existing beliefs. Let's consider another example. Let's say I'm talking to a friend about the fact that I want to give up on meat. And their response is, why? People have been eating meat for thousands of years. It's good for you. This statement is an argumentation fallacy that is called appeal to tradition. The speaker concludes that if something is rooted in history, it means that it's better than the alternative. Situations like this don't only happen with friends and family. Critical thinking is an essential skill to become media literate. Let's go back to the argumentation fallacies. Have you heard about the Reagan-Mondale debate? The one which Reagan was asked if his advanced age could be problematic if he were to be re-elected as a president. And this was his response.
I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
This is an example of the strawman fallacy. He didn't answer the question directly, but replaced the argument with a distorted statement. In this case, Reagan's response made his opponent and the audience laugh. However, he is not the only political figure to use argumentation fallacies, and it can be really dangerous actually. For example, here's a video from Vladimir Putin's 2021 press conference where he talks about the Russian demands for security guarantees from NATO and the United States.
Наши действия будут зависеть не от хода переговоров, а от безусловного обеспечения безопасности России сегодня и на историческую перспективу. В этой связи мы ясно и четко дали понять, что дальнейшее движение НАТО на восток неприемлемо.
He implied that there were only two options: either Russia would receive security guarantees or was under direct threat from NATO. This is also a false dilemma. Putin created two extremes, implying that no other alternatives were possible, while in fact Russia was about to invade Ukraine. The same applies to the field of science and health. We've recently experienced the COVID pandemic, which was full of disinformation and misinformation. The debates were often creating fear amongst society related to the potential dangers of the vaccines. That's why it's important to note that there's another fallacy called appeal to fear. When using it, the speaker is trying to support their argument by spreading fear amongst the audience. Knowing and recognizing these traps that our mind creates, such as confirmation bias and argumentation fallacies, is essential to master the art of critical thinking.
We need to understand that our brain tricks us and oversimplify things in order to make them easier to process. However, with the amount of information and stimuli that surround us every day, we can't use shortcuts for everything.
It is especially important for young people to gain the skill of critical thinking, as they can be vulnerable to influence. What is critical thinking useful for? It helps us make better decisions. It also promotes creativity and innovation. It improves communication, and it helps to navigate complex issues. Of course, in the topic of critical thinking, there is much more to cover than I had the chance of in this short video. Here are some additional resources if you want to learn more. But if there's one thing you will learn from me, remember, critical thinking is a mindset that requires us to challenge assumptions, seek out evidence, and consider alternative perspectives. So whether you're talking to a friend, colleague, family member, or consuming media, remember, don't just listen, but think, and think critically.